Welcome back then guys to this live stream. It is now time for the main event, the 62 lap San Marino Grand Prix, in the hopes of having probably the best race of the season, perhaps with the mixed up grid after a mixed weather qualifying session. If you didn't see it, it was very interesting. In the end, Max Verstappen, who did his time in the dry, managed to take pole position and Martini's first ever pole as well, with Sergio Pérez second and Stoffel Vandoorne in the AMP in third position, where AMP, I don't know if he made a joke about it on Twitter, but he kind of jokingly said that if one of his drivers got on the podium today, he would streak in his hometown. So make sure somebody takes a picture of the tweet in case they do. So that's that really. We've got 62 laps of action for the San Marino Grand Prix here at Imola. A mixed up grid, especially with the championship leader down in last position. There was one thing I didn't mention in terms of news, and it regards AMP as well, is that after 4 seasons, they will be ending their partnership with Audi at the end of the season and will be switching to their German rivals Mercedes for season number 5. So it'll be very interesting to see how AMP does with a Mercedes engine in the back of them next season. But we'll have to wait and see really whether the V12 era works out in Mercedes' favour or not. It's a bit of a mystery. So we've got, as mentioned, 62 laps of action for the San Marino Grand Prix. And we can't wait to get on the way then. So before we start then guys, let's mute this, turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for the San Marino Grand Prix. Here we go then. So on pole position is Max Verstappen with Sergio Pérez in second. Stoffel Vandoorne lines up in third with Kevin Magnussen in fourth. Nico Hülkenberg lines up in fifth with Antonio Giovinazzi in sixth. Valtteri Bottas is in seventh with Felipe Massa in eighth. Ninth on the grid is Daniel Ricciardo, followed by Fernando Alonso in 10th. He's got a bit of work to do in the hopes of trying to cut the gap down between himself and Lewis in the championship. Carlos Sainz Jr. is in 11th with Mick Schumacher on his one-off return in 12th. Charles Leclerc is 13th with Brennan Hartley in 14th. Romain Grosjean's 15th with Jean-Eric Vergne in 16th position. 17th on the grid is Sebastian Vettel. He's got a lot of work to do. Same with Esteban Ocon. He's 18th. Same with Kimi Räikkönen. He's 19th on the grid, followed by Ed Jones in 20th. And on the back row of the grid, it's Scott Dixon and the surprise of them all, Lewis Hamilton in 22nd and last. He's got a lot of work to do if he wants to give Etihad the Constructors' title today. And that is the grid for the San Marino Grand Prix. So there is the grid then guys for the San Marino Grand Prix. Now, the weather. Is it dry or wet? It is bone dry for the San Marino Grand Prix, so no wet weather conditions. It's the same conditions as it was in GP2 and GP3 earlier on today. So, leave your predictions, but without further ado, let's get to the San Marino Grand Prix. So, here we are then on the grid then. It's Max Verstappen on the right of your screen, Sergio Pérez on the left, who's going to get the lead into turn 1 as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off. They've seen the start of the San Marino Grand Prix. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights are on. And it is go here in Imola, and it seems to be a good start from Sergio Pérez. He seems to get a little bit of a better start than Verstappen, and he grabs the lead. Pérez leads into the first corner, but can Verstappen maybe diving down the first corner? Let's see, can everybody keep it clear for the first corner? Pérez leads the race as they go into the first few turns. Has everybody got through okay? And there's a little bit of contact at the back. Who is that at the back of the field? Looks like Hamilton's got hold of. It's Ocon and Räikkönen. They've got involved in some form of carnage at the start. Let's have a look as they go into turn 1 now then. And as you can see, Räikkönen was on the inside. Dixon's also got himself involved, but he's got out of it okay. But Ocon looks like Dixon got pinched in the middle there of those two. Let's have a look as they go into the first corner. Räikkönen was on the inside into the first corner, and well, it looks like Ocon was a bit of a passenger there. And well, that might be a little bit of a hard one for the stewards to call on that one. That will be investigated after the race, along with the 2 incidents in GP2 and the 1 incident in GP3. But we get back to the action as Räikkönen's gone for a spin, but gets the car going. It's Pérez who leads from Verstappen second, Vandoorne third, Magnussen fourth, Giovinazzi getting up to 4th place at the expense of Magnussen. Hülkenberg's dropped down a place as Alonso has dropped a place at the start. He's down to 11. Looks like he was trying to ease up for any issues. Jones has gone off the track at the left-hander. Did somebody hit him off the track as well? Into the left-hander, and into the corner we go. And yeah, Hamilton did, but he just looks like that Jones might have just turned in a little bit too much. Hamilton was already there. That will be investigated anyway, but don't be surprised if nothing came out of it. Unlike the tough decision the stewards have got to make for that incident down the first corner. Jones having to wait for Räikkönen to go through. So Jones struggling to get going. And in fact, he might be stuck there. In fact, as everybody got through the Piratella, okay, looks like it, but Jones might have beached himself as Giovinazzi's all over the backside of Van Dorn now, then as it comes through the chicane. Meantime, Alonso still stuck behind Sainz, his fellow compatriot, as they come into the corner now, then Hamilton on the back of Vettel as they fight it out for those positions, and Jones is out, he's beached it in the gravel. Ed Jones out of the San Marino Grand Prix, and we're down to 21 runners. Verstappen still sticking with Pérez. Meantime, Giovinazzi all over the backside of Van Dorn as they make their way into the final chicane now then. So, at the end of lap 1 of 62 down here at Imola, it's Pérez who leads, Verstappen in 2nd, Van Dorn 3rd, Giovinazzi 4th, Magnussen 5th, Hülkenberg in 6th, Massa 7th, and Ricciardo rounds out the top 8. Ricciardo meantime all over the backside. Has Giovinazzi got the place of Van Dorn? And he has. Up into 3rd place goes Antonio Giovinazzi. Ricciardo unable to find a way through on Massa at this stage of the race. And that's that really as far as they're concerned as they go around the Villeneuve chicane. So, meantime, Alonso still in 11th place. I'll have a look in the fuel. In fact, we'll look at the fuel loads now then, despite a little bit of cars. 28.5, 21.5, 18.5, 23.5, 27.5, 27.5, 21.5, 19.5, 26.5, 18.5, 25.5, 19.5, 28.5, 21.5, 26.5, 20.5, 19.4, 19.5, 20.4, 25.4, and 27.4. Whew. Anyway, now into the chicane we go. Verstappen not really close enough to Pérez. Pérez starting to build a bit of a gap in front at the moment as somebody set the fastest lap of the race there. Couldn't quite tell who that was at this stage of the race now. Then Hülkenberg trying to get up to the back of Magnussen. In fact, a whole train of cars starting to form to the back of Magnussen at this stage. Sorry about that, as now Hülkenberg all over the backside. Will he try and get Magnussen? Will Ricciardo get Massa this time by? As Alonso, I don't know if he's back on the prowler Sainz yet. Yes, he is, but Sainz is stuck behind Bottas. Coming down towards the first chicane now then on the track. Will Hülkenberg get close to Magnussen? He's not close enough that time. Well, what about Ricciardo on Massa? No, not quite. Meantime, Sainz down the inside of Bottas, but Bottas shuts the door. Alonso looking for any opportunity to pass him on. Giovinazzi sets the fastest lap of the race, so it's Gio that's coming holding on to the fastest lap at the moment. Hamilton still struggling to find a way through on Vettel at this stage of the race now. Then Räikkönen still at the back of the pack, as meantime Gio starting to close up on the top two of Pérez and Verstappen as they make their way up towards Piratella now then. As they go around Piratella now then on the track, coming out of the turn now, they're heading down towards Aquamilarali. Pérez still leading the way at the moment with quite a decent gap in front of Verstappen. Meantime now then Ricciardo has a go at Massa, but Massa fends him off into Aquamilarali as Bottas still holding up a train consisting of two Shadows and an Etihad. So an Etihad B team and an Etihad. Down into the chicane we go. Bottas goes defensive for Sainz as they go through the chicane now then. And now down towards the Ravazzas. Look how close Verstappen is to the back of Pérez, and even Giovinazzi's not that far behind these two now. Then out of Ravazza 2 we go now. Then this is getting close at the front of the field in towards the last chicane. Verstappen looking for his first Grand Prix victory. Pérez looking for his first legit Grand Prix victory. Coming out of the final turn, down the pit straight we go. Can Verstappen get the move done on Sergio Pérez? And then down towards turn 1. He's going to look to the inside. Will Verstappen grab the lead from Pérez? Down the inside, and he does. Verstappen leads the San Marino Grand Prix. He retakes the lead from Pérez, and up into the lead goes Max Verstappen in the Martini. Now Giovinazzi on the pair of them now then, but Pérez still sticking with Verstappen at this stage. Hülkenberg still stuck behind Magnussen, as Ricciardo still stuck behind Massa at the moment in this race as they come out of the Villeneuve chicane. As meantime, Sainz has dropped back a bit from Bottas. Now Alonso wants a piece of his fellow compatriot. Up towards the left-hander we go. As meantime, Hamilton's still stuck behind Vettel. Vettel defending him at the moment. Schumacher's starting to form a train in the AMP at the moment as they make their way into Piratella. Alonso not close enough to get Sainz that time around, just staying single file. Ricciardo down the inside of Massa again, but Massa shuts the door into the first part of Aquamilarali. Hülkenberg now then in the slipstream of Massa. Will he try and get the move? Sorry, of Magnussen. Magnussen goes defensive into the chicane and rightfully so holds on to 5th. At this stage, Pérez started to fall back a bit from Verstappen as Gio gets close to Pérez at this stage. Gio looking to grab second place from the Dorado as they come out of Ravazza 2 now then. Heading down towards the last chicane on the track. And so into the last chicane we go, around the left and the right, heading down the pit straight. We will go now then. And Gio doesn't look close enough that time around to get Pérez. And it's going to stay single put behind him at this stage. Really, meantime, Hülkenberg on the back of Magnussen. Will he get the move done? He's going to look to the inside. Will Hülkenberg get the place off Magnussen? Danny inside, and he does. And no, in fact, he's gone straight on. Hülkenberg's gone deep, and Magnussen gets the place back. It's up into 7th place. Goes Daniel Ricciardo. He's finally found a way through on Massa. So up to 7th place he goes. He's now trying to find a way through on Hülkenberg after his mistake. He tries to stay side by side, but Hülkenberg just staying with him there. As now a whole gaggle of cars start to form behind Hülkenberg, consisting of Bottas, Sainz, Alonso, and Leclerc. Alonso still struggling to find a way through his fellow compatriot, and even Grosjean's not far behind that lot at this stage. As they go up now then towards the Piratella, Ricciardo now then, will he find a way through on Hülkenberg? Hülkenberg defends the inside and keeps on the place. Bottas fends off from Sainz at the moment now then as I go through Piratella. Hartley all over the backside of Schumacher, heading down towards Aquamilarali. A lot of defending going on. Hartley has a look, not quite. Hamilton again having a look at Vettel, but Vettel saying no to that at this stage of the race. Dixon still bringing up the rear of the field. In towards Lavazza 1 we go, and look how close Giovinazzi is to the backside of Pérez. Through towards Lavazza 1 and 2 we go. In these early laps, it's getting very exciting here at Imola. Verstappen starting to get away a little bit out in front of the field as they make their way into the final chicane on the track. Round the left, then the right, and then heading down the pit straight. Will Giovinazzi get the move done on Sergio Pérez? He's tucked up into his slipstream now, then he's going to go to the first few corners. Tucking up, he looks to the inside. Will Gio grab second from Pérez? Down the inside. Has he got the place? And yes, he has. Up into second place. No contact between Pérez and Giovinazzi. Looked like Giovinazzi probably went a little bit deep into the first corner, similar to what Hülkenberg did a little earlier with Magnussen. Into the first corner we go. And yeah, he went a little deep and then just went straight on a little bit more. I don't know if there was a little bit of contact between Pérez and Giovinazzi. We'll have a little look as they go into the first few turns on the track now. Then I thought there was contact initially, and no, there wasn't. It just looked like that Giovinazzi just went straight on and gone deep as a result. Pérez retakes second. Now Gio's in the clutches of Van Dorn again in this race. As Ricciardo's up to 6th. He's past Hülkenberg. Up into 6th place goes Daniel Ricciardo in the GLM. He's absolutely flying at this stage as he's past Hülkenberg. And up into 6th place goes the Aussie as he tries to chase down Magnussen for 5th place. And now round the left-hander we go as everybody's still stuck behind Bottas at the moment at this stage. Lots of trains forming at this stage of the race. Verstappen up the hill he goes, still in the way. Pérez second, Giovinazzi trying to catch back up in 3rd place after going deep into the first corner. Probably just carrying a little bit too much there. And Pérez regaining 2nd place as a result as they make their way into the right-left chicane we go. And Van Dorn dropping back just a tad bit more at this stage now then as they make their way into the first few turns. And now down towards the 2 Lavazza corners we will go. And now coming off the turn into Lavazza 2. And Van Dorn still sticking with the Bud Light Lime at this stage of the race. And that's that really. And so, meantime, Massa now starting to get onto the back of Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg running a little bit heavy in this first stint. And Massa running quite around about 6 litres less at the moment in this race. Sorry for the drop of frames. As now we head in towards the first few turns on the track. And as you can see through the first few corners now then, Massa trying to find a way through on Hülkenberg, not close enough that time. I'm saying with Sainz on Bottas as they go up towards the Villeneuve chicane. Sainz looks to the inside of Bottas. Will he get the move done into Villeneuve? No, again. Bottas fends him off. Holds on to the place for the moment in this race as Vettel and Hamilton still stuck behind Verne's GRM as they go up the hill towards Piratella. And so, meantime, now then Gio starting to get away a little bit from the AMP as he now sets his sights on Pérez again for 2nd place as they go up now then towards the chicane. And Gio now then hip-hopping over the curbs. Off the curbs he goes now then, out of the turn, heading down towards the 2 Lavazzas. Verstappen will soon be starting lap 8 of 62 in this Grand Prix. Alonso now then trying to pile the pressure on Carlos Sainz Jr. He's been stuck behind him for a while now then, it must be said. Grosjean stuck behind Leclerc. Down towards Lavazza we go. Alonso doesn't think about a move into that corner. Through the left-hander we go. And then into the second left of Ravazza. The second Ravazza corner. Massa still tucked up behind Hülkenberg at this stage as they make their way into the final chicane. Will Massa pull off a move on Hülkenberg down towards turn 1 now? Then he's tucked up into his slipstream now. Then will Massa get the move done into turn 1? He tucks up. He's going to look to the inside maybe. No, he stays single file as now Alonso down the inside of Sainz. But again, Sainz shuts the door into turn 1, not letting his fellow compatriot go. And he holds on to 10th place at the moment. Alonso probably getting frustrated that Sainz is getting in the way of him as they go around the Villeneuve chicane. And then up towards the left-hander we go. Meantime, Schumacher fending off from Hartley still. And lots of battles going on up the hill now then. Massa not close enough to get Hülkenberg into Piratella. So Alonso now then, will he try and move on to Sainz into Piratella? No, Sainz defends the inside into that left-hander as they make their way down the hill towards Aquamilarali. Alonso try and go for a punchy move into the chicane perhaps. Meantime now then, Giovinazzi still a bit behind Pérez at the moment as Ricciardo's now onto the backside of Magnussen. As meantime Alonso staying single file, not risking it into that chicane there as the pair then get up close to Bottas again in front. And so that's that really. Meantime Ricciardo trying to find a way through on Magnussen for P5 through Ravazza 2. As they come up now then towards the final chicane. Giovinazzi continuing to get away from Van Dorn into the final chicane. And through the left and right hander we go as he head down the pit straight. Will Ricciardo get the move done on Kevin Magnussen now as he head down the pit straight towards the first few turns? Is Ricciardo going to get the move done? He's down the inside of Magnussen. Will he pull it off? Down the inside. And he does. Up into 5th place goes Daniel Ricciardo, getting the move done on Kevin Magnussen. Next target for him is Stoffel Van Dorn in the AMP as he gets up into P5. At this stage, Alonso still stuck behind his fellow compatriot, probably getting a little bit frustrated. Grosjean still stuck behind Leclerc at the moment, a former teammate, as Hartley goes to the inside of Schumacher, but Schumacher covers him off into the Villeneuve chicane there. As meantime now then, Magnussen starting to drop back from Ricciardo. Ricciardo will try and hunt down Van Dorn if he can. Through Piratella we go. Alonso, as you can see, Sainz stuck to Bottas' slipstream, which is preventing Alonso from trying to put an attack on Sainz at the moment as he head down towards the 2 Aquamilarali corners. And now up towards the hill we go then before approaching the chicane. And Sainz, will he try and punchy move into the right-left chicane now? Then Bottas goes defensive just in case he does as they go around that chicane now then out the turn. As a lock up there from Leclerc as he goes for a spin at the chicane, and Schumacher's clipped him. Schumacher has clipped Leclerc at the exit of the chicane. Let's have a look and see what have happened there as they go into the chicane, and Leclerc just went deep and spun off. And Schumacher was just a passenger at that point and has lost a bit of front wing, as is Leclerc. They're going to have to make a trip to the pits as a result. As everybody now claws behind Schumacher, having to find a way through the guy who's not got a front wing now. So that will be investigated either way. So that's the 3 incidents now in the top class. Leclerc gets going again, but will have to make a trip to the pits for a new front wing and maybe even a change of strategy as well. But we'll wait and see on that as Giovinazzi again looked like he went deep into the first corner. And, as a result, Van Dorn back on the prowler in there. Probably pushing a bit too hard, it must be said. It's up into 9th place goes Sainz. He's got Bottas. Up into 9th place goes Carlos Sainz Jr. And now Bottas' former teammate, Fernando Alonso, trying to get 10th from him. Schumacher in to repair the front wing. And so will Charles Leclerc as well. So expect those two to pit in a little bit. Round the left-handed hairpin we go. Leclerc into the pits now then. As they come off the left-hander now then on the track. Heading up the hill towards Piratella. Will Alonso get the move done on Bottas? No, Bottas covers him off. Through Piratella now then we go as he head down the hill towards the 2 Aquamilarali corners. Alonso looks to the inside, but Bottas covers him off. Holds on to 10th place at the moment in the Grand Prix as they make their way up towards the right-left chicane. And so that's that really as far as I'm concerned. Massa all over the backside of Nico Hülkenberg now then as he tries to grab 7th from him at this stage of the race. Verstappen still continuing to lead the way out in front as he looks to try and get Martini's first ever victory, first legit victory I should say, and his first as well as he's coming up to traffic in the form of Leclerc, who's just been in to repair his front wing. So Verstappen will have to clear the traffic up. As Pérez, here he is, still in 2nd place, still with a decent gap in front of Giovinazzi, as he's currently 3rd at this stage. It's where Giovinazzi made his full-time debut last season as well, as Massa had a look to the inside of Hülkenberg, but Hülkenberg again covering him off and holding on to 7th place. Alonso still stuck behind Bottas at the moment through the left-hander we go. Alonso in the slipstream now then into the field of chicane. He has a look, but Bottas again covers the inside line and holds on to 10th place now then as they make their way through the left-hander. Alonso will try and find a way through on Valtteri. Bottas now then. Will Alonso find a way through into Pérez? He's in the slipstream now. Is he going to look to the inside? And no, again, Bottas covers the inside into Pérez. Alonso again getting frustrated as he looks to the inside into Imola. Isn't able to as Grosjean now starts to close up onto that battle himself. So Grosjean getting close. We've got a yellow flag. And it's Van Dorn. Van Dorn's got a transmission problem. Oh, what a shame. Van Dorn was looking strong in this race, but it's all come to nothing. Stoffel Van Dorn out of the Grand Prix, and we're down to 20 runners thanks to a transmission problem that has put an end to his race and hoisted over the barriers now then as a result. And as a result, that now lifts, I think Carlos Sainz into the points. It does. Sainz is now into the points. As now through the chicane we go, as Ricciardo's been lifted up to 4th. He'll now try and chase down Giovinazzi for 3rd place if he can. Meantime, can Massa finally find a way through on Hülkenberg for 6th place? He's on the inside. Can he get the move done on Hülkenberg? Down the inside, and he does. Up into 6th place goes Felipe Massa. He finally gets the move done on Hülkenberg, and up into P6 goes the Brazilian veteran now then. And Massa gains a place, and now Sainz wants a piece of Hülkenberg if he can. As they go around the corners, Hamilton and Vettel up to 14th and 15th as everything that's gone off at the moment. But Hamilton still stuck behind Vettel. Vettel not really giving him a hard time at the moment in this race as they go up the hill towards Pérez. Hamilton now then, can he find a way through on Sebastian Vettel? And of course I will have to do a little bit of working out during this race to see what's going on in terms of the championship at the moment. Constructors' Championship, that is. As Hamilton looks to the inside of Vettel, but again, Vettel covers him off and holds on to 14th place at the minute. As meantime, on Team by the cameras, Alonso's past Bottas. Up into 9th place goes Fernando Alonso. And now he'll chase down Sainz again, who's chasing down Hülkenberg at the moment in this race as they make their way through Lavazza. And so that's that really as far as they are concerned. Sainz tries to gain a little bit onto Hülkenberg at this stage. Just doing a little bit of working out at the moment. As coming down the pit straight we go. And just give me a minute as Sainz continues to close up. What's the gap between him and Hülkenberg? Through turns 1 and 2 and 3. 0.7 seconds is the gap. Alonso not far behind either. And as they come up towards the Villeneuve chicane. Meantime, Hamilton had another go, but again, Vettel covering him off and holding on to 14th place for the moment in this race. And so that's that really as far as they are concerned. Up the hill they go then towards Pérez. And let me just quickly do some working out. Let's have a look. And sorry if I go a little bit silent, guys. Just doing some working out, and let me just figure this out then. So at this rate, if it remains like this, I think Imola will still keep their chances alive. Etihad will not get the constructors if it remains like this. Hülkenberg going a tad bit defensive on Sainz there, so it seems to be getting quite close at the moment between those two in the Drivers' Championship. I'll have a quick look on the Wikia just to be sure that I am correct on that. Coming off the final turn then, and let's see the gap between Ricciardo and Giovinazzi now. There's on lap 14 of 62 in this San Marino Grand Prix. Heading in towards the first few turns on the track. And let's see the gap now then through the first few turns. And the gap now being, let's have a look, 2.2 seconds. That's how that looks at this stage. And they make their way through the first few turns now. Then we go. And now up towards the left-hander. We will go on the track. Meantime, Sainz all over the backside of Hülkenberg. Looking to grab 7th from him now then. And that's that really as far as they are concerned. And so out of the turn then we go. As they head up the hill towards the Pérez. Hülkenberg didn't even think about going defensive into that left-hander. And let me just have a look very, very quickly. And yeah, if it stays like this, Imola will still keep their chances alive. Their slim chances, of course, alive in the Constructors' Championship. Even if Sainz does get past Hülkenberg, Imola will still keep the chances alive as we go into the chicane now then. as Sainz still trying to pile the pressure on Hülkenberg if he can, as they make their way down towards the two Lavazza corners, and Sainz trying to find a way through if he can into Lavazza 1 and then into Lavazza 2 we will go, as Giovinazzi slowly getting close to Pérez again. But what's the gap between Ricciardo and Giovinazzi? In towards the first few turns we go, and we're pretty close to the first round of stops. In a few laps time we should be seeing people making their pit stops. And let's see then the gap, 1.8 seconds. So Ricciardo has gained a little bit. Sainz not close enough to get to Hülkenberg that time around, as they remain single file into the first few turns. Alonso trying to gain onto this battle if he can, as they make their way down towards the Villeneuve chicane. As meantime, Danny inside goes Sainz, but Hülkenberg again covering him off and holding on to 7th place for the moment. As up into 14th goes Hamilton, as Vettel's down to 18th, so something's happened to him somewhere. I wonder if he's made a mistake somewhere. And, well, whatever's happened, he's down to 18th, and Hamilton is up to 14th place. As a result, I don't know if they made contact or not, but Vettel is down to 18th place. Hamilton has gained a place and is up to 14th. Next target for him is Jean-Eric Vergne in the GRM, but Vettel's going to have to make a comeback again, along with fellow compatriots Schumacher and even Leclerc, who Verstappen still hasn't got to lapping yet. And I thought he would have lapped him by now, but he hasn't. Probably Leclerc is pushing hard to make sure he doesn't get a lap down as he tries to chase down Schumacher in front of him at the moment. Through the Vatsa 1 goes Verstappen, as he'll be pitting around about 5 laps time himself for his first of 2 scheduled stops. It looks like the whole field is doing a 2-stop in this race, so that's that really. As they come out of Vatsa 2, Giovinazzi trying to get up close to Pérez if he can, but nowhere near at the moment. Ricciardo getting closer at the moment. Let's see the gap between Gio and Pérez this time. Buys and make their way down the pit straight as Verstappen's on lap 16 of 62 now then in this race. So specifically, we now have, I think if I'm correct, we now have 57 laps remaining, as the gap is 2.1 seconds between Giovinazzi and Pérez, 1.7 the gap between Ricciardo and Gio. So Ricciardo only took a 10th out of Giovinazzi that time by, as they go around the Villeneuve chicane. Meantime, Sainz still stuck behind Hülkenberg into the Villeneuve chicane. He's going to look to the inside. Will Sainz pull it off? And no, he can't. He's still behind Hülkenberg at the moment, at this stage now then. And in towards the hairpin we go. As they come off the turn now, then up towards Piratella we will go. And that's that really. Sainz now then, will he look to the inside into Piratella? No, Hülkenberg covers the inside and holds on to 7th place for the moment. Sorry about that. As meantime, Alonso now getting close to that scrap. Sainz has dropped back a little bit from Hülkenberg, it must be said. Massa trying to gain onto Magnussen if he can for 5th place, trying to get up close to the Suomi. Coming off the final turn, what's the gap between Ricciardo and Giovinazzi this time? Buys on lap 17 of 62 now then in this race. 56 laps remaining. Sorry, not 56 laps. 46 laps to go in this race. I do apologise. The gap now, let's have a look. 1.6 seconds, so again another 10th. Ricciardo took out of Giovinazzi's lead as they go down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Around we go then, around that section of corners before going uphill towards Piratella. And that's that really. As meantime, Sainz not close enough to Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg's now got a bit of a gap between himself and Carlos Sainz Jr. at this stage of the race as they make their way up towards the left-hander. And that's that really. Coming off the turn as they now approach the Piratella, as Max Verstappen continues to lead the way at this stage, from Pérez in 2nd, Giovinazzi 3rd, Ricciardo 4th, Magnussen 5th, Massa 6th, Hülkenberg 7th, Sainz running up top 8, Alonso starting to reel in his fellow compatriot again as he looks to try and get himself into the points to try and cut down the deficit between himself and Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship. So into Lavazza 1 and 2 go the 2nd to 4th, as it looks like those 3 could be in a scrap for 2nd place in a little bit as they make their way into the chicane. As I look at the fuel loads, I think we're getting close to around about a couple of laps, seeing the first round of stops getting underway. So we're now on lap 18 of the Grand Prix. In fact, Giovinazzi is pitting at the end of this lap then, and So Giovinazzi will be pitting at the end of this lap. Ricciardo's going to be staying out for about an extra lap to see if he can try and jump Giovinazzi into the pits. Giovinazzi hoping to get the jump on Pérez if he can, as he's slowly starting to close him in again. And now into the Villeneuve chicane we go. Anybody pitting at the moment? Also coming up towards the lap. It doesn't appear like it, so it seems that Giovinazzi will be the only one pitting at the end of this lap for his first of 2 scheduled stops, as he makes his way up the hill towards Piratella. Flicking the car in through the left-hander now then, as he uses the curb on the outside, heading down towards the 2 Aquaminerali corners, as the sparks continue to fly at the back of his car now then. Up the hill he goes towards the chicane. And let's see. And we'll be very interested to see how Giovinazzi copes in his pit stop as he flicks the car through the final chicane. Heading out the chicane now then, heading down towards the last 2 turns on the track now then. And so into Lavazza 1 and 2 he will go on the track as he flicks the car in through the turn. And into Lavazza 2. Out of the corner now then, before heading down towards the pit lane. We'll see Giovinazzi go straight on to go into pit lane, which he does. Into the pits then comes Antonio Giovinazzi from 3rd place, as his mechanics wait for him to pull on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. And let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for Antonio Giovinazzi. He's got 26.9 litres of fuel, so he should be pitting in around about... he'll be making his 2nd stop at around about lap 44. As also into the pits comes a shadow, I think that is. I think that's a shadow. And Giovinazzi had to wait slightly, and that is Carlos Sainz Jr. in. Alonso stayed out, so he'll be hoping to try and leapfrog Sainz if he can. Sainz hoping to get the jump on Hülkenberg. At the moment, Giovinazzi, meantime, comes out of pit lane, and he rejoins in 13th position in front of Kimi Räikkönen and behind Lewis Hamilton, who's all over the backside of Jean-Eric Vergne as they fight it out for 11th place. Vergne shut the door on him there into turn 1 as they make their way into the chicane. Hamilton down the inside of Vergne, won't get him moved on. No, Vergne shuts the door into the Villeneuve chicane there as they make their way in towards the left-hander. Around the left-hander we go now then on the track, coming off the turn as Hamilton will now approach us. Out goes Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc is out of the race. What's happened to the shadow driver? And he's gone off at the chicane again, this time in dramatic fashion. Leclerc out of the race, and we're down to 19 runners here at San Marino. He smacked it into the wall. Leclerc out, and we're down to 19 runners. Verstappen finally puts a lap of him anyway, but Leclerc out, and we're down to 19 runners. Meantime, can Hamilton find a way through into Piratella on Vergne? He's going to look to the inside. Can Hamilton pull it off? Side by side go Vergne. Vergne's gone straight on into the gravel. He ran out of the road. That's a fair move from Hamilton. He did something similar to Mark Webber in real life, and he's up into P number 11 there. So up to P11 goes Vergne, and also taking advantage in Antonio Giovinazzi. He grabs 12th place. Vergne just carried a little bit too much street to try and hang it around the outside, and Hamilton took full advantage and gets up into 11th place. Next target for him is Brendan Hartley in the monster car now then. As meantime, anybody else in the pitch? Yes, Daniel Ricciardo is in for GRM. This is a crucial stop. Can he get the jump on Giovinazzi in the pit as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel? And let's see then how quick the stop's going to be then for Daniel Ricciardo, as it is an 11-second stop for the GRM. Where is Giovinazzi on the track? Giovinazzi is coming down the pit straight. It's going to be close. Who's going to get out in front? Is it Gio or Ricciardo? And Ricciardo gets the jump on Giovinazzi's Hamilton pits for his scheduled stop, but Giovinazzi trying to get back at him, and he does so. Giovinazzi back up into what will be 3rd place, but Ricciardo's a lot closer, and he could even bring his teammate to help him out, Jean-Eric Vergne. As mentioned, Hamilton is pitted. Where's he going to rejoin? As he comes trundling down pit lane, as he looks to try and get a load of places during the pit stop stages. He rejoins 18th behind Mick Schumacher. So that's where he's going to rejoin. Schumacher doesn't need to stop, of course, because he had to change his strategy after having to change his front wing after making contact with Leclerc. As Vettel is now into the pits for his scheduled stop, so he'll be able to jump a few people if he can after this pit stop. So he finishes off the stop. Verstappen looking to stay out for another lap, as Pérez is going to be staying out for a few more laps. So begs the question on whether if we're actually going to be seeing a one stop in the form of Sergio Pérez, as Verstappen is pitting in the end of his lap there. So Max Verstappen is pitting from the lead of the Grand Prix as he now approaches the first few turns on the track. Around the chicane we go, as Pérez staying out, of course, as will Magnussen as well. Will Massa be pitting at the end of this lap? Let's have a look as he comes off the final turn in the monster car. And let's see as he crosses the line. And yes, he is. Massa's pitting this lap as well. Hülkenberg is staying out for a few more laps. Same with Alonso and Bottas and Grosjean as an engine point for Hartley. So that's Hamilton's task easier because he was trying to get up to him before the pit stop as Vern's in for a scheduled stop. As meantime, Ricciardo looks to the inside. He's going to have to get Hartley at the same time. And that is a beautiful pass from Daniel Ricciardo up into what will be a provisional third place for Daniel Ricciardo. He gets the move done on Antonio Giovinazzi. And that's a fantastic move from the Aussie. As he gets the place, as he's locked up though, he's carried a little bit too much speed. Can Giovinazzi take full advantage again as he goes back to the inside into the hairpin? Ricciardo just hangs it around the outside and holds onto the place as Hartley pulls off. And out of the race goes Brendan Hartley, and we're down to 18 runners in this San Marino Grand Prix. Hartley out, and we're down to 18 runners. And wow, what an exciting San Marino Grand Prix. Hamilton now on the backside of Schumacher, and maybe can probably line him up for a move into Piratella if he can. Coming off the hairpin now, then up towards Piratella. As Verstappen's in, the race leader is in. We'll get to him a little bit. Let's see if Hamilton can pull the move on Schumacher. But Schumacher covers him off and holds on to the place for the moment. As Vettel is in front of Dixon. He's probably got the pass on him. Pérez takes the lead temporarily. And there we go. Then so Verstappen finishes off his stop. Magnussen will pass him as well. I think anyway. Will go through. Yes, he does. So Verstappen looks like he's going to be joining third. Massa in for his scheduled stop. So rejoining in third is Max Verstappen in the Montagne car, just in front of Hülkenberg and Alonso. As Massa in for his scheduled stop. Through goes Ricciardo and Giovinazzi. As Räikkönen goes through, he's not yet to stop for another few laps. He's trying to make his way up for the field after only qualifying 19th. Through goes Ocon, through goes Sainz. And in fact, Sainz has actually leapfrogged Massa. So Sainz has been flying out there, and he's leapfrogged Felipe Massa. So Sainz goes through up into another place, wherever that place will be. We'll have to wait and see when everybody else pits. Massa rejoins 13th behind Sainz. And Sainz is on a flyer at the moment, it must be said, as he tries to stay in front of Alonso after the pit stop. Meantime, Pérez out for a few laps, as is Magnussen. But Verstappen starting to gain a little bit onto Magnussen due to the fresher tyres the Dutchman has on that car. As out goes Sebastian Vettel. His San Marino jinx continues. As Sebastian Vettel is out of the Grand Prix, and it looks like we've missed him. Something has happened to Vettel. Dixon was behind him at the time. So let's see if we can get up to him, and it looks like we've missed him. So whatever's happened, Sebastian Vettel is out of the Grand Prix, and we're down to 17 runners here at Imola. So Vettel's San Marino jinx continues and retires from the Grand Prix. Meantime, Verstappen getting close now to the back of Magnussen as he tries to get up to him towards the two. Lavazza corners now then. Into Lavazza 1 we will go, and then into Lavazza 2. As they come off the turn now, then Verstappen right on the prow of Kevin Magnussen. Alonso getting close to Hülkenberg in front. Into the chicane we go. Heading down the pit straight. Will Verstappen pull the move off as they head down towards the first few turns on the track? Then Verstappen tucks up into his slipstream. He's going to look to the inside. Will Verstappen pull this one off down the inside? And he does. Up into second place goes Max Verstappen, wasting little time with Magnussen. And he gets up into second place. Thanks to the fresher tyres he's got on his car. Next target, probably won't get up to him by the time he makes his pit stop. That'll be Sergio Pérez, as Pérez looks to try and get El Dorado closer to Bud Light Lime in the Constructors' Championship as he makes his way through Aqua Minerale. Up the hill he goes before approaching the chicane. Verstappen flying at the moment as he looks to get his and Martini's first ever Grand Prix victory legitimately this time with a legal car, as now Verstappen will approach the right-left chicane on the track, as now they flick the car in through the turns. Verstappen using all the curb on the outside as he'll now head down towards the two Lavazza corners now then, as Pérez still leading the way as he will approach the chicane, and we'll have a look and see in a little bit what the gap is like between the pair of them as they head down the pit straight towards the first few turns. And let's see then what the gap is like between Pérez and Verstappen. And let's see now then what the gap is going to be as they come off the first few turns. We'll have a look from Verstappen in fact, because I think it's a little bit more updated on his steering wheels. Verstappen sets the fastest lap at 1 minute 22.612, I think that's said. And the gap between Pérez and Verstappen, 9.4 seconds. That's how that looks as Hülkenberg's now trying to get up close to Magnussen if he can. Verstappen probably giving him a little bit of a helping hand. 1.9 seconds the gap between Hülkenberg and Alonso. at this stage. As meantime now then, Grosjean's been passed by Ricciardo, so Ricciardo wasting a little time to get up into 7th place. Will there be team orders at Bud Light line to allow Giovinazzi to get by on Grosjean? As they make their way through the Villeneuve chicane, so up to 7th goes Daniel Ricciardo as he chases down Bottas for 6th. Bottas still yet to pit, of course. Through the left-hander we go before heading uphill towards the Piratella. And will Giovinazzi find a way through? He's going to look to the inside, but he backs out of it. Doesn't want to risk ploughing into the side of his teammate there then. Maybe into Acqua Minerale. He's going to have a look, but Grosjean covers him off, and this will cost Giovinazzi some time. Sean Grant, the team boss of Bud Light Line Motorsport, will have to react soon and possibly get Grosjean to get out of the way and let Giovinazzi through if Gio wants a podium in this race as they make their way through the chicane. Ricciardo getting up close to the backside of Bottas now then. In towards the first few turns as now Gio looks to the outside, but again Grosjean covers him off and holds on to what is 8th place at the moment. Into these section of corners we go on the track. Ricciardo right onto the backside of Valtteri Bottas now then in towards the last chicane. Will Ricciardo pull this one off out of the final corner and onto the pit straight? Ricciardo, will he get the place off Bottas? He's going to look to the outside, gets back in the slipstream. He's going to try and move on him into the first corner. He tucks up, he's going to look to the inside. Will Ricciardo get the move done? And he does. Up into 6th place goes Ricciardo as Bottas runs out of road and now puts in place of Giovinazzi, who's got by on Grosjean. Up into 8th place goes Giovinazzi. Will Gio find a way through on Bottas now then as they make their way into the Villeneuve chicane? Around they go now then in towards the left-hander on the track. And Gio trying to find a way through if we can. As they go up the hill towards Piratella. Will Giovinazzi find a way through on Bottas now then? Up towards Piratella we go. Bottas goes defensive, but Gio unable to find a way through that time round as they make their way down towards Acqua Minerale. As Ricciardo's now getting closer to the man he's going to be replacing next season, Fernando Alonso. And even Hülkenberg as well. Ricciardo is absolutely flying out there at the moment as he goes around that chicane. As through the chicane goes Giovinazzi. I think that's if Verstappen set another fastest lap there. So Verstappen also flying as well. Giovinazzi in the slipstream of Bottas looks to the outside into Ravazza, but Bottas covers him off as they go down towards Ravazza 1 and 2 now then. We're getting close towards the pit stops I think now then for some of the guys. Pérez will be pitting around about a couple of laps, and look how close Verstappen has got. 4.1 seconds of the gap. His teammate is going to be pitting in the end of this lap, Esteban Ocon, so Ocon's going to be making a scheduled stop. Signs all over the backside of Räikkönen as Massa tries to find a way through on him as well. So they go through into the chicane. Hamilton getting close to the backside of Verne again as into the pits comes Esteban Ocon from 13th place, so he's in. As Alonso's in, he's made his stop. Where's Sainz on the track? Sainz has got through again, so Alonso's not been able to get the jump and not on Massa, so he's going to have to work hard to catch back to those few again. Sainz, though, getting held up by Räikkönen, so Räikkönen pretty much doing Alonso a solid at the moment, as Alonso rejoined in 12th place behind Felipe Massa. As Giovinazzi still stuck behind Bottas, but can he find a way through into Piratella? He looks to the inside. Can he get the move done? And yes, he can. Bottas, though, runs out of road. And lucky to not sustain some damage there. But he's pitting on his lap and holds on to 7th place. So similar to Verne. But Bottas, lucky he did not sustain some damage as Giovinazzi gets through into 6th place there as he tries to gain onto Ricciardo, who's gaining onto Hülkenberg at the moment. So that's that for him, really. Here's Pérez. Will he be pitting at the end of this lap in the Dorado? And no, he's not. He's going to be staying out. Bottas pitting at the end of this lap, of course, for Dorado as he makes his way down the hill. As Sainz is up to 10th, he's past Räikkönen, so up to P10, so go up to P9, goes Carlos Sainz Jr. As now Massa tries to find a way through on Kimi Räikkönen for P10. As heading into the chicane, Bottas will go straight on and Grosjean will be released. So into the pits comes Bottas, but those two are going to be in a fight of their own because Grosjean still yet to make a stop. As into the pits goes Valtteri Bottas for his first of 2 scheduled stops. So I think, yes, he's going quite light into his second stint, only having 16.9 litres in his tank there. As he finishes off his stop, a 10-second stop for Valtteri Bottas as he heads down pit lane. Let's see where he's going to rejoin then. So he goes trundling down pit lane, and Bottas is going to rejoin in 15th place, so that's where he rejoins. Ocon with 16th after the pit stop. Verstappen, though, getting close to the back of Pérez, and Pérez is not yet to make a stop until the next lap. So could Verstappen get him before Pérez makes his pit stop? Into Lavazza 1 and 2 we go. As down the inside goes Ricciardo and Hülkenberg, and he does a Hülkenberg-esque move from 2 seasons ago. And Ricciardo up into 4th place. He gets the move done, taking a page out of Hülkenberg's textbook there, and moves up into 4th place. And now next time for Ricciardo is Kevin Magnussen. He could even leapfrog Pérez if he can just keep up this pace, as Pérez is pitching out in this lap. Verstappen wasn't close enough to get him into turn 1 there, so not within slipstream range at the moment, as it's half a second between Verstappen and Pérez at this stage. As they come up now towards the chicane, Kevin Magnussen is in for his scheduled stop, so Ricciardo up to 3rd place now. He's onto the podium as Magnussen is in. Now then, but let's see where Magnussen will rejoin as he finishes off his stop. Through goes Sainz, so Sainz has gained a few more places. After the pit stop, will Verstappen try and get Pérez into Piratella. Down the inside into Piratella. Pérez trying to hang it around the outside. Hülkenberg in for his scheduled stop. Side by side down towards Rally. And that's a beautiful pass from Max Verstappen. Back into the lead of the race goes the Dutchman. And Verstappen leads the way. As now Ricciardo will try and chase him down as well. It looks like Pérez will get leapfrogged. So a horrible strategy call there from Dorado, it must be said. As Magnussen rejoins in 8th just in front of Räikkönen. And Alonso is all over the backside of Räikkönen. Coming around the left-hander now, then up towards Piratella. Will Alonso get the move done? As, in fact, as you can see, look, Alonso's leapfrogged Hülkenberg in the pit. So Alonso's ahead of Hülkenberg on track. And has got up into the points, it seems. But can he get through on Räikkönen? And, well, as the sparks continue to fly off the back of him now, then Alonso's stuck behind Räikkönen like glue at the minute. In towards the chicane, Pérez in for his scheduled stop. Can Alonso get him into the chicane? No, he's going to remain single file. Räikkönen is pitting the end of his lap anyway, so Alonso will be released either way. Pérez makes his stop. Through goes Ricciardo. And also going light is Pérez on this stint then. Let's see where Pérez is going to be joined. So it seems everybody's on the 2-stop. Giovinazzi's also got the jump, so Giovinazzi's onto the podium. Pérez has lost a heap of time in the pits as Grosjean goes in. Pérez rejoins in 4th place ahead of Carlos Sainz Jr., who's having an absolutely cracking race. Seems to have got his Spain pace back, it seems, as he's now up into 5th place at the moment. Grosjean in, as we mentioned. Let's see where he rejoins. Alonso now to the points, but he's got Hülkenberg all over the backside of him as a result of Räikkönen holding him up. Hülkenberg down the inside of Alonso. Will Hülkenberg get the move? And he does. Up into 8th place goes Nico Hülkenberg, passing Fernando Alonso, and well, keeping Imola slim chance of the Constructors' Championship alive. Hamilton had a look at Vern, but unable to do so. Looked like Schumacher was covering off there. Schumacher still yet to make a stop, but looking to try and gain some time. He's still yet to make a stop. He had to change his strategy, of course, after losing his front wing early after making contact with Leclerc. Bottas up with his battle now then, as they go up now towards Piratella. As Vern tries to find a way through on Schumacher at the same time. Up towards Piratella we go. And Vern goes defensive in case Hamilton tries to pop something down the inside. Down towards Räikkönen. Hamilton looks to the inside of Vern, but Vern covers him off and holds on to 11th. And now Bottas, his Mercedes teammate in real life, all over the prowl of the Brit now then, as they make their way up towards the right-left chicane on the track. And as you can see, Vern now piling the pressure on Schumacher. Around the chicane they go, before heading out the turn, before approaching the 2 Lavazza corners. And Vern now then looking to the outside of Mick Schumacher as they go down towards Lavazza. And unable to make the move stick that time by. As meantime now then Hülkenberg getting away from Alonso. How they say Pérez slowly starting to gain onto Giovinazzi again in this race. As Ricciardo's got a lot of time to gain if he wants to get Verstappen in this race. As they go down the hill towards Räikkönen. And meantime now then, Verstappen continuing to lead the way at the moment as he makes his way into the right-left chicane. And coming off the turn now then, as we're on lap 30 of 62, so including this lap, we now have 33 laps remaining in the San Marino Grand Prix. We're still yet to wait for the second round of softs, which aren't too far away to be honest, because Schumacher will kick them off. As Pérez getting close to the backside of Giovinazzi. He wants the podium. He doesn't want Bud Light Lime putting away more in the Constructors' Championship. Dorado want that 3rd place back if they can, as they make their way into the right-left chicane. Pérez gaining onto Giovinazzi, using the fresher tyres to his advantage. Meantime, Magnussen starting to pile the pressure on Massa for 6th place, as Hülkenberg and Alonso will try and close up as well. Meantime now then, as you can see, Schumacher still holding up a big train of cars. Grosjean's on the back of this train as well. He's caught up. Look at the train of cars from 10th to 14th now then, as they make their way into the chicane. Will Vern try and pop a move into Schumacher into the chicane? No, Schumacher covers him off and holds onto the place. He's not yet to pit for another couple of laps, as they now head down the hill now then towards Lavazza, as now Grosjean tries to find a way through on Bottas. Side by side they go down towards Lavazza, as Hamilton had a look at Vern, but again Vern covers him off and holds on to 11th place. at this stage of the race. Meantime, Magnussen all over the prow of Massa now. Then he's onto the inside. Will Magnussen get the place as Hülkenberg sets the fastest lap at 1 minute 21.740, and up into 6th place goes Kevin Magnussen. He gets 6th from Felipe Massa, and he's now on 3 championship points as a result. Now can he try and get onto Carlos Sainz Jr. in front in the shadow as they make their way through the Villeneuve chicane? And, well, meantime, down the inside goes Vern on Schumacher again. Schumacher covers him off. Vern at the same time having to defend from Hamilton. Through the chicane we go. Neither Etihad are in the points at the moment, as Massa's still sticking with Magnussen, but now Magnussen's starting to pull a bit of a gap now as he tries to hunt down Carlos Sainz Jr. Meantime, Pérez all over the backside of Giovinazzi. Will he prove and move off into the chicane? He's down the inside, and contact between Giovinazzi and Pérez. Pérez has gone for a spin. Contact between Gio and Pérez, well, I think he was just a little bit overconfident there, you'd have to say. That's how I look at it from his perspective. Going into the chicane, looks to the inside, and, well, it was a little bit of a risk. But we'll look at it from Giovinazzi's perspective. The incident will be investigated after the race. So 4 incidents for the top class then. We look from Giovinazzi's perspective into the chicane. Pérez goes to the inside. And yeah, it's kind of similar to what we saw from Newgarden. And I think, trying to think who else it was from yesterday as well. And Marco Andretti, I think, as well, from the GP3 race earlier today. So it will be investigated after the race, but we'll see what the stewards think. It's now allowed Sainz, Magnussen and Massa, and even Hülkenberg, who's closing up as well, and Alonso to gain onto Pérez. So that's not exactly what Pérez needed. You probably said that Sergio was probably a little bit hot-headed, as out goes Mick Schumacher. So that group is released behind him. What on earth's happened to Schumacher as they go towards Piratella? Did it involve Vern by any chance? Down the inside into the corner, and well, he takes it cleanly, but Schumacher going off the track, and Schumacher smacks it into the wall. So on his one-off return, Mick Schumacher crashes at the same place he crashed last season as well, and he's out of the race, and we're down to 16 runners, both AMPs out after what could have been for the Essex-based team. And so no streaking then for Will Neller as far as he's concerned. So at least he keeps his dignity intact. So at least that's a positive for him as far as he's concerned. As meantime now then, going out of the chicane now then, at least it releases those guys. Fernando finally got the place, but Hamilton now trying to launch an attack, same with Bottas and Grosjean as they make their way down through the 2 Lavazza corners. And they're coming off the turn now, then heading down towards the last chicane. Ocon's now getting close to this scrap as well. In towards the final chicane we go. Hamilton all over the backside of Vern. Can he get 10th from the Frenchman? And can Grosjean get 12th from Bottas now then? Down the pit straight we go. Hamilton in the slipstream of Vern now. Then he tucks up into his slipstream. He looks to the inside as Grosjean looks to the inside of Bottas. Down the inside. And he does it. Hamilton up to 10th. Bottas just able to fend off from Grosjean and holds up to 12th. But up to 10th place goes championship leader Lewis Hamilton. As now Bottas is all over the backside of Vern as Ocon gets close to that scrap as well. As meantime, down the inside goes Hülkenberg on Massa. As it goes side by side, Alonso looking for a way through. Massa covers him off. Alonso down the inside of Hülkenberg. That's side by side through Aquamillarali. Hülkenberg trying to hang it around the outside. Hülkenberg just has the edge and holds on to 8th place. Great driving from all 3 of them there then. Hülkenberg goes defensive just in case Alonso tries to do a pop. But Hülkenberg fends off there then and holds on to 8th place. What an amazing San Marino Grand Prix we have here. Next target for Hamilton is his own teammate Fernando Alonso. He's got a lot to gain though, but that's his next target. Meantime, Grosjean taking 12 from Bottas and he's now down the inside of his fellow compatriot and he gets the place. He shows Pérez how it's done, and up into 11th place goes Romain Grosjean. Bottas and Ocon now on the back of Vern now then as they make their way down towards Räikkönen. Räikkönen getting close as well to that scrap. Down towards Räikkönen we go. I'm losing my voice in all of this. This is exciting stuff. I need to save it for AOR tonight. As now, down towards the last chicane we go. As they make their way into the left-right chicane. Round the left, down the right. Coming down the pit straight we go. And can Bottas find a way through on Jean-Eric Verne? As he tucks into his slipstream now then. Bottas looks to the inside. Can he get 12th from Jean-Eric Verne? No, just didn't carry enough momentum. In fact, he's locked up. He's going to the gravel. And Ocon gets the place. Over to 13th place it goes. It puts Bottas under pressure from fellow compatriot Kimi Räikkönen. Bottas goes deep into the first corner. Now Kimi wants his chance on Bottas if he can. But Räikkönen has a lot, but Bottas covers him off there into the corner. And, well, that's that really as far as they're concerned. Verstappen starts lap 34 of 62 in this race. And so specifically, we now have 29 laps remaining in this San Marino Grand Prix. And, well, Schumacher would have pitted earlier, but he's crashed out, so we've still got a few laps before we see the second round of stops coming into play. As Ocon's up to 13th, of course, remember, he passed Bottas. I clearly forgot about that. Will Räikkönen try and pop a pass on Bottas into the chicane? No, remains single file behind him as they make their way through that chicane there. As meantime, Alonso all over the backside of Hülkenberg yet again. As they come down the pit straight now, then Massa's got a bit of a gap in front of these two. Heading down towards the first few turns, Alonso staying single file. Wasn't close enough to get Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg holds on to 8th place for the moment. As they make their way through the first few turns on the track now then, as Magnussen is right onto the backside of Carlos Sainz Jr. for 5th place, as Pérez is closing back up to Giovinazzi for 3rd, so he's trying to rekindle that battle if he can. As they come off the left-hand and out and up towards Piratella, we will go. Magnussen trying to find a way through on Sainz, but not close enough. What about Alonso on Hülkenberg? Up the hill they go then towards Piratella. Alonso not close enough and stays put for the time being. As Räikkönen has dropped back, and it looks like he might have made a mistake into the first corner there, and has dropped back into 15th place. We'll have a look and see anyway. And yeah, he just went deep into that right-hander, and Räikkönen loses time to Bottas as a result. And we'll have to try again to try and get back onto his fellow compatriot if he wants 14th place in this race. And, well, that's that really as far as they're concerned. We were guaranteed of a good race thanks to this mixed grid, and we've definitely got one. Alonso stays single file behind Hülkenberg into the chicane. As look how close Magnussen is to the back of Sainz. As a result, it brings Massa, Hülkenberg and Alonso closer. Now it's become a five-way scrap for 5th place between Sainz, Magnussen, Massa, Hülkenberg and Alonso. As they go through Lavazza now, in the meantime, Pérez getting up close to the backside of Giovinazzi again. As meantime, it's 14.6 seconds a gap between the top two of Verstappen and Ricciardo, the two Red Bull teammates in real life, as Verstappen's coming up to traffic in the form of Scott Dixon in the Mars Grand Prix car. And it's getting very exciting indeed. Meantime, Magnussen down the inside of sides. Will he get the move done? Hülkenberg goes to the inside of Massa. And Magnussen gets the place. Up into 5th place goes Kevin Magnussen. He gets the move done on Carlos Sainz Jr. And he's into the top 5. And now Massa wants a piece of Sainz if he can, as they make their way through the Villeneuve chicane. Look how close Pérez is now to the back of Giovinazzi. Can he get him? Up into Piratella now, then into the slipstream. Pérez on the inside, but Giovinazzi covers him off and holds on to 3rd place now then. As they go down the hill towards Aquamilarali, through the Aquamilarali corners we go. As Pérez puts Giovinazzi under immense pressure now then. Up towards the chicane we go. And will Pérez pull the move off into the chicane? This time he's going to try again. And this time he pulls the move off. And no, he doesn't actually. He's gone for a spin again. Pérez again being hot-headed. And Giovinazzi can't believe his eyes. It's happened a second time. And, wow. Pérez really needs to calm down if he wants to get 3rd. And now it's brought Magnussen closer to him. As meantime now then Massa under threat from Alonso. Hülkenberg still... well, in fact, Hülkenberg's up to 7th. He's past Massa, unseen by the cameras. Nico Hülkenberg up to 7th place. Now Massa under pressure from Alonso, his former Ferrari teammate in real life, in towards the final chicane we go. And will he get the move done round the final chicane, down the pit straight? And will Alonso get 8th from Felipe Massa now? Then as they go down towards the first chicane, Alonso looks to the outside. Will he pull the move off? He's in the slipstream, but isn't able to pull it off. Massa fends off from the time being. As meantime, Grosjean's actually coming up to the back of Hamilton. So Grosjean looking to put Hamilton under some form of pressure, as he's actually pitting at the end of his lap then. So Grosjean pitting, 3 seconds up. Alonso down the inside of Massa. Massa just able to hang in around the outside and hold on to 8th place at the moment. As meantime, looking around to see if anybody else is pitting at the end of this lap other than Grosjean. Yes, Hülkenberg is pitting at the end of this lap. So 2 people pitting, Hülkenberg and Grosjean at this stage. So they'll be pitting at the end of this lap. We will get onto, in fact, we need to get to the battle first. As Alonso's up to 8th, he's past Massa. So into the points goes Fernando Alonso. And, well, 1 point for Etihad now then. And Etihad finds himself into the points as Hülkenberg's all over the backside of Sainz. Sainz defending into the chicane as they go around them section of corners now then on the track. As Hülkenberg looks to the outside of Carlos Sainz Jr. And trying to remain side by side, but Sainz just has the edge on him at this stage of the race. And so that's that really. At this stage, EMR will still keep their Slim Championship hopes alive, I think, if it stays like this. As into the pits now then goes Nico Hülkenberg. Alonso stays out, I think. Yes, he does. So Hülkenberg in. Alonso looking to try and get the jump. Same time, Hülkenberg trying to get the jump on Sainz as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel in the EMR. in this very exciting San Marino Grand Prix here at Imola. As also into the pits is Grosjean for his scheduled stop, a 12.6 second stop for Nico Hülkenberg. Let's see where the EMR is going to come out then after the stop. And he'll soon flick off the pit limiter, which he does, and he rejoins in 14th place behind Kimi Räikkönen, who's yet to stop. Not for another few laps, of course, but Räikkönen will be pitting in around about 9 laps. As Grosjean finishes off his stop, he'll rejoin in 15th place as the remaining Mars Grand Prix car, which is Dixon, is a lap down. And Grosjean could be a lap down if he's not careful. But then again, Verstappen's doing it to make his stop. And speaking of which, Verstappen is pitting at the end of this lap for his scheduled stop. Ricciardo will take the lead temporarily as they come off the final turn now then. It looks like Ricciardo will probably be staying out for another lap. Yeah, so Ricciardo will take the lead temporarily in this Grand Prix. As meantime, looking for anybody else is pitting at the end of this lap. As Alonso now onto the back of Sainz. And trying to find a way through if he can as Hamilton tries to gain onto Massa. As we go around the chicane now then. Verstappen continuing to lead the way at the moment. Ricciardo 10.8 seconds back. So in fact, looking at it, Ricciardo's actually gaining onto Verstappen. So Ricciardo's got a little bit more pace than Verstappen. And if he could just keep this up, we may have a battle for the lead towards the end of the race. But it's still 10.8 seconds. That's still a lot of time for Ricciardo to try and find at this stage of the race. As meantime, Pérez is back on the prowl of Giovinazzi, but he needs to do it properly this time. But even now, Magnussen has been dragged into this. Magnussen looking for a podium as Alonso looks to the inside of Sainz, but Sainz covers him off into that chicane as they continue to scrap it out for 6th place at the moment in this race. As meantime, Verstappen coming around with Valtteri 2, and he'll be going into the pits this lap, of course. Pérez now then right onto the backside as well as Alonso down the inside of his fellow compatriot, and he does it. Up into 6th place goes Fernando Alonso. He passes Sainz and he's up into 6th place at this stage. He's doing a fine job as Verstappen is in for his scheduled stop. Pérez right onto the backside of Giovinazzi's Dixon. The man lapped down in the Mars Grand Prix car is also into the pits as Verstappen puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel as he's now fueled to the end of the Grand Prix now then. Let's see where he's going to rejoin. Ricciardo takes the lead temporarily, and it's a 12-second stop for the Martini mechanics, and Verstappen is going to rejoin in 2nd place in front of Giovinazzi, who's busy fending off Pérez. So rejoining 2nd is Max Verstappen. Dixon rejoins after his pit stop. There's traffic in front that could help Pérez a little bit, but Giovinazzi passes. I think he's going to lap. Oh no, Dixon's off the track, and they're so lucky there wasn't contact. Like Giovinazzi made a mistake. Alonso pits for his scheduled stop. Magnussen on the back of that traffic. Pérez down the inside of Giovinazzi. Will he pull it off? And he does so at last. Pérez up into 3rd place. He gets back onto the podium. Giovinazzi in the clutches of Magnussen. Meantime, Alonso finishes his pit stop. Where's Hülkenberg? He's coming around the final turn. Will Alonso leapfrog Hülkenberg in the pits? He will flick off the pit limiter, and no he doesn't. Hülkenberg's still in front, so it looks like Hülkenberg might get the jump on Sainz in the pits, but Hülkenberg's still out in front of Alonso for what will be 6th and 7th respectively in this race. Ricciardo leads temporarily, but he's making a stop at the end of this lap, and should hand the lead back to Max Verstappen once he finishes the pit stop as they come out of the left-hander now then of Valtteri 2, as he'll soon go straight on into the pits, and he does so. Into the pits comes Daniel Ricciardo from the temporary lead of the race. He'll hand the lead back to Max Verstappen, but he'll try and gain onto him with his fresher tyres. The Giro mechanics are ready as we have 23 laps remaining. We're on lap 40 now of 62 in this Grand Prix. Verstappen will take the lead again as he goes down the pit straight now then. So through he goes. Ricciardo having his stop. He finishes off. Pérez will go through, but he's yet to make a stop. Giovinazzi might go through as well, so this might not help Ricciardo as he'll come out behind the battling Giovinazzi and Magnussen. Magnussen all over the back of Giovinazzi now then, and unable to find a way through into turn 1. That time by as they go through the section of corners. Around we go now then. Up towards the Villeneuve chicane. Magnussen down the inside into Villeneuve. Can he get a move on Giovinazzi? And he does so. And a fantastic move from Magnussen up into 3rd place. Will be 4th once he makes his pit stop for Kevin Magnussen. And Magnussen is pitting in the end of this lap anyway. So he should be 3rd ahead of Giovinazzi. He wants to make his stop in a couple of laps. Magnussen back in the lead of the race. As Ricciardo 5th at the moment. As mentioned, Hamilton is in for a scheduled stop. Or where's he going to rejoin? He's finished off the stop. And he rejoins in 15th place behind Romain Grosjean, who's jumped him. So Grosjean has jumped Hamilton in the pits and will be up into 10th place. I think it will be on 9th. I can't quite 100% remember. As Hülkenberg's on the back of Räikkönen, who's yet to make a stop. Same with Bottas, who's all on the backside of Ocon now then. Vern as well. Meantime, can Bottas get him? Bottas is pitting at the end of this lap. Not close enough into Piratella that time around to pull the pass off at this stage now then. As Magnussen continues to lead the race. Verstappen continues to lead. Magnussen pitting at the end of this lap. As you can see, right on the right hand, there we go. As Magnussen is into the pits now. Then Giovinazzi stays out for about another 1 or 2 laps. Magnussen in as he looks to try and look for a podium in this race if he can, of course. As he tries to gain onto Pérez himself. Pérez has stayed out for a few more laps. He's not yet to make his scheduled stop. As in goes Felipe Massa for Monster. He's into the pits. As Magnussen finishes off his stop. Where's he going to rejoin? Carlos Sainz scheduled to make a stop, of course. Magnussen rejoins in 6th in front of Jean-Eric Verne. So that's where he rejoins. As meantime, Bottas is in for his scheduled stop. Massa finishes off his pit stop now. Then meantime, Alonso trying to close up onto Hülkenberg again. Hülkenberg getting onto the back of Räikkönen. So lots of scraps going on. Massa rejoins 12th and leapfrogged by Hülkenberg and Alonso again. Massa drops off way behind and now might have to fight with Grosjean and Hamilton as Bottas is going to rejoin 15th after this pit stop as Hamilton has leapfrogged him as well. Well, stayed out in front of him, I should say. So that's that for him. As Magnussen's up, as Ricciardo's up to 3rd, he's not wasting any time. He's past Giovinazzi, so up to 3rd place goes Daniel Ricciardo. Pérez is the next target, but I think Pérez will probably be pitting either on the next lap or the lap after. Confirmation that Mats has been in earlier. Into the last chicane we go. As he rounds the left and the right-hander now. Then Pérez, let's see, is he going to be pitting at the end of this lap for his scheduled stop? And he is. Pérez pitting at the end of this lap now then. In 2nd place as he will now approach the first few turns on the track. Round the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander we go. Before approaching the Villeneuve chicane. So meantime, Sainz is into the pits. Magnussen should get back up to 5th as a result. So Sainz in for Shadow as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. A clear wipe of the visor for the Shadow Mercedes driver. Where's he going to rejoin after this stop now then? And it's an 11.2 second stop for Carlos Sainz Jr. Verne into the pits for his scheduled stop. So Hülkenberg and Alonso released. Sainz rejoins in 11th, just behind Massa. So it looks like he could be fighting with him, along with Hamilton. He's past Grosjean, unseen by the cameras. Hamilton up into 12th place. He's past Grosjean. So into P12 goes the Brit. As Verne meantime rejoins in 15th place, just behind Bottas. So those two look like they're going to be duking it out. As we'll be seeing Pérez pitting at the end of this lap. It will give Ricciardo back 2nd. And Pérez should rejoin in 3rd again in front of Giovinazzi. Well, Giovinazzi's pitting in the end of this lap anyway, so Pérez shouldn't have to worry about it. It's probably Magnussen he'll need to worry about next, as he's on a charge as well. Into the pits then comes Sergio Pérez for Eldorado Racing. As we have 20 laps remaining for race leader Max Verstappen. Ricciardo should get back up to 2nd place as the Eldorado mechanics put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. Let's see where Pérez is going to rejoin as the Bud Light Line mechanics get ready for Giovinazzi, who's into the pits now then, so he's in. And it's a 10.9 second stop for Pérez. As there's Magnussen. That will probably be the guy that Pérez will be fighting with throughout the remainder of the race. Magnussen's coming up towards the final chicane. Pérez will still rejoin in 3rd place, but Magnussen will try and charge and try and catch up if he can. And not that far to gain for him. Pérez rejoins 3rd. Giovinazzi, where's he going to rejoin? Well, there's Hülkenberg. He's not that far from Giovinazzi. He's going to be close as he come out of the pit lane. And Hülkenberg and Alonso both jumped Giovinazzi in the pits. And Giovinazzi has lost a heap of time as down the inside goes Hülkenberg on Räikkönen and gets 5th place from the Finn. As now Alonso wants a piece of him. So up into 5th and 6th will be Hülkenberg and Alonso once Räikkönen makes his stop. Giovinazzi will be down to 7th place. As a result, Ricciardo back up to 2nd place for the moment. And, well, that's that really. I'll need to do some more working out at this stage to see what's going on at the moment, of course, as they make their way round the first few corners on the track now then. As down the other go, Alonso looking to the inside of Räikkönen, but Räikkönen covers him off and puts in prey to Giovinazzi behind him now then as they go up the hill towards the chicane. As Massa tried to close up as well, same with Sainz up towards the chicane, but Giovinazzi's going to remain single file into the chicane now then. And so that's that really. So go down the hill. Alonso all over the back of Kimi Räikkönen now then. And so that's that then really as far as he's concerned. As trying to work this out in my head. And, well, not in my head, just using a calculator at the moment. As these two continue to scrap it out. But Räikkönen not pitting for another few laps yet. So, yeah, that will be that then really as far as he's concerned. As they come off the turn. And now down towards these next section of corners. And I think EMR will still keep their chances alive if it remains like this at this stage of the race. As Räikkönen just able to fend off from Alonso into the first few turns there. As Magnussen starts to gain onto Pérez at this stage of the race. Look at these few cars. And now Giovinazzi down the inside of Alonso. But Alonso covers him off and holds on to 7th for the moment now then. As now they go through those section of corners. And yeah, they will do. They will still keep their chances alive if it stays like this. There's slim chances. Alonso down the inside of Räikkönen. Has he got the place? Räikkönen's run out of road. And he's lucky to not sustain some damage, unlike Schumacher. But Alonso up into 6th place. And up to 7th goes Giovinazzi. And up to 8th goes Massa. Räikkönen has dropped back to 9th. Just ran out of the road. Carried too much speed to try and hang it around the outside. Similar to what Verne and Schumacher tried to do a little earlier. And it's came back to bite him. He's now down to 9th. Massa finds himself into the points of the result. Hamilton trying to gain onto these two as well, as he's currently in 11th place. Räikkönen still here to make a stop. He'll probably pit either next lap or the lap after, as Sainz tries to find a way through on him at the moment. Meantime, Giovinazzi all over the backside of Alonso at this stage of the race, as I didn't quite see what the gap was like between Verstappen and Ricciardo that time by. As meantime, through the first few turns, the gap between Pérez and Magnussen is 4.8 seconds. That's how that looks. Meantime, Giovinazzi all over the backside of Alonso. He's down the inside. Will Gio get the place off Alonso? And he does so. Up into 6th place goes Antonio Giovinazzi. He gains the place back, and Gio into P6. Now can he try and gain onto Hülkenberg in front for 5th as they make their way through the Villeneuve chicane now then on the track. Sainz still stuck behind Räikkönen at the moment. Massa trying to gain onto Alonso again if he can. As Hamilton's now on the back of the Räikkönen-Sainz battle. And Grosjean's not far behind either as they go up towards the Piratella. As now will Sainz try and move into Piratella on Räikkönen. He tries to have a look, but Räikkönen covers the inside and holds on to 9th place for the moment. Round Piratella we go, heading down towards Aquamilarali. And they're going to remain single file into that corner. Sainz thought about having a look, but remain behind him for the moment. As Hamilton's now right onto the back of them now then. As it become a freeway scrap for 9th place, I should say. Into the chicane we go. As they flick the car in for the chicane. And look like RE Central just fast forwarded itself there. As they go down the hill now then towards the two Lavazza corners. And Sainz still stuck behind Räikkönen. Räikkönen's pitting at the end of this lap anyway, so Sainz will be free, but he'll have to fend off from Hamilton for what will be 9th place once Räikkönen goes in. Giovinazzi starting to get away now from Fernando Alonso as didn't see the gap again as it's up to 5.7 seconds. So Pérez starting to lap quicker than Magnussen, so Magnussen starting to fall back now from Pérez as Pérez is looking at a podium finish if he can. Verstappen through the chicane, Ricciardo's down through Aquamilarali. So could it be quite close between those two? We'll wait and see. As meantime, Hamilton has got 9th place. Räikkönen is into the pit. And up into 9th place goes Lewis Hamilton. Next target for him is Felipe Massa for 8th place, who's getting onto Lewis's teammate Fernando Alonso as they go around the left-hander on the track. Räikkönen in. And he finishes off his pit stop. He joins 15th behind Ocon. He's trying to chase down fellow compatriot Jean-Eric Verne. So that's that for him really as they all go around Piratella. As Giovinazzi starting to gain onto Hülkenberg for 5th place now then. In the race, what's the gap between the top two? Things have started to calm down for a little bit now then. And let's see the gap between Verstappen and Ricciardo now then. As we're on lap 47 of 62. So 16 laps remaining in the San Marino Grand Prix. 12.5 seconds. That is possible. That's a lot of work for Ricciardo to gain on if he wants to win his 3rd career victory. And but you never know, of course, anything can happen in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does. As meantime now then, as you can see, Hülkenberg currently 5th at the moment, but Giovinazzi starting to gain as mentioned, as Hamilton starts to gain onto Massa for the final points place. Into the first chicane we go, as they come off the turn now, they're heading down the pit straight. As they'll make their way down towards the first few turns, Grosjean starting to gain onto Sainz for 10th place now then. As they make their way into the first few turns on the track, around the left, right and left. It's 2 seconds exactly between Massa and Hamilton on that that time around, as Massa starts to fall a little bit further back from Alonso. In fact, Alonso might be starting to gain back onto Giovinazzi. Looks like Alonso wants to rekindle the battle between him and Gio at this stage of the Grand Prix, as they make their way up the hill towards Piratella. And what an exciting, as I've mentioned several times in this race, what an exciting San Marino Grand Prix we have had here at Imola. And we were promised a very good race thanks to the mixed up grid, and we've definitely got it, that's for sure. But there's still possibly a few more battles still yet to settle with in this race at the moment. Let's see the gap between Verstappen and Ricciardo to see if he is gaining, because he was gaining before the pit stop, 12.1 seconds. So he's only gained 4 tenths on him that time around. He is gaining, but not really much to try and want a battle from him, as we have 15 laps to go in this San Marino Grand Prix. We're on lap 48 of 62 now here at Imola, and so that's that for them really. As now in towards the chicane, Hamilton getting closer to the back of Massa, as they will now approach the last chicane on the track. Round the left and right hander we go, coming off the turn, heading down the pit straight we go before approaching the first few corners on the track, as they now will approach turns 1, 2 and 3. Round the left, then the right, and then into the left-hander we will go. And they will soon approach the left-right chicane. And Hamilton now then to try and apply the pressure on Massa as best as possible, as they make their way up towards the left-hander. Hamilton doing a grand job at the moment, and he's made a good comeback either way after qualifying last due to being caught out in the heavy conditions, and has made a very good recovery drive nonetheless. But can he try and get himself into the points by the end of the race? At this rate, it looks like EMR will keep their constructors' title hopes alive at this stage, and unfortunately, it will mean that that Etihad will not be able to wrap up the championship today, but will have a more likely chance of doing it at the Italian Grand Prix next weekend at Monza. And down towards the Lavazza 1 and 2 we will go, as they make their way through these section of corners. Alonso doing a grand job at the moment as he tries to reel in onto Giovinazzi, but it looks like Giovinazzi's responded and is starting to pull away again, because he looks to want to try and gain onto Hülkenberg in front at the moment. Let's see the gap anyway between the pair of them as they make their way down towards the first 3 corners on the track. Let's see then, through the left and then the right, and the gap is 2.2 seconds. That's how that looks at this stage. The gap between Hamilton and Massa now then 1.5 seconds. Hamilton definitely gaining onto the Brazilian, but still not within slipstream range of Massa at the moment. Into the Villeneuve chicane we go, as they flick the car around those section of corners before approaching the left-hander. Up the hill they go before approaching Piratella, and so into Piratella we will now go, as they go into that left-hander, and off goes Massa! And up into the points goes Lewis Hamilton. Massa has just essentially gifted Hamilton that place, and Hamilton is into the points and up into 8th place. Sainz also gets up to 9th as a result of the mistake. Massa down to 10th place, and probably the pressure got to Massa as Hamilton is up into 8th place. Next target is teammate Fernando Alonso, as it's now a double points position for EMR. For Etihad, sorry, I do apologise, but as I've said, I think it's looking less likely for them to take the championship here today. As meantime now then, Massa will want to get back on the prow of Carlos Sainz Jr. I will just double check that anyway, as they go into the corners, and let's have a look, and yeah. At the moment, if it stays like this, EMR will still keep their chances alive, but Etihad will have a more of a likely chance to do it at Monza next weekend. They needed possibly a 1-2 to help that out, but that's not going to be the case at this stage at the moment, as they make their way up the hill towards the Piratella. Even if Giovinazzi gets Hülkenberg, it will still not be enough for Etihad to win the Constructors. They will probably have to do it at Monza next weekend, as mentioned. Up towards Aquaminerali, Giovinazzi is definitely gaining onto Hülkenberg at this stage, as Massa is now dropped back from Sainz, so Sainz starting to pull a gap between himself and Felipe Massa, and Massa possibly costing himself a chance of his first points of the season since he returned back at the French Grand Prix a few races ago. 11.6 seconds is the gap between Ricciardo and Verstappen. Still quite a huge gap, as we have 12 laps remaining, so Ricciardo might need to hope for a little mistake from Verstappen if he wants to win this race. But Verstappen just got to keep the nerves, and he will get his and the team's first ever victory in IFMC. The first legit victory, I should say. Up the hill they go then towards Piratella. And Ricciardo now then flicks the car through the left-hander. Using the curb on the outside as he head down the hill towards Aqua Minerale. Around the right and then into the next right-hander we go. Heading uphill towards the right-left chicane. And let's see now then as Ricciardo will hip-hop over the curbs around the right and left-hander. Using all the curb on the outside before heading down towards Lavazza 1 and 2. And so down towards Lavazza 1 and 2 we go. And let's see now then as they will approach these next section of corners. Coming off the turn. And Ricciardo trying his absolute best to get Bottas in this race. Well, not Bottas, just trying to get Verstappen. We'll have a look and see what the gap is like next time around. And the gap between Verstappen and Ricciardo, as we have 11 laps remaining in this San Marino Grand Prix, is now, let's have a look in towards the first few turns, 11.8 seconds. So Verstappen's actually up the pace by 2 tenths. So Verstappen has actually responded to Ricciardo's pace there, as looks like Verstappen might have that one covered then. Through towards the Lavazza 2 we go. As Giovinazzi's getting close to Hülkenberg, as Alonso looks in the wings, and even Hamilton as well. Hamilton's not far behind this lot either. Into the last chicane we will go on the track now then, as it will now approach the next section of corners on the track now then. In towards the first few turns, the gap between Hülkenberg and Giovinazzi is 1.1 seconds. 1.6 the gap between Giovinazzi and Alonso, as it is, what's the gap between Hamilton and Alonso? Coming off turn 3, 2.2 seconds between the two Etihad teammates as they go through the Villeneuve chicane. As back up to 9th place goes Massa, unseen by the cameras. He's retaken 9th from Sainz, so back up to 9th place goes Felipe Massa, as Grosjean tries to hunt down Sainz if he can as well. As oh no! Verstappen's got a blown engine! Oh, all the luck! Verstappen's blown up! Oh, what a shame! He was looking good for the victory, and Verstappen has blown up. His Ferrari engine has given way. Cameron Ellison cannot believe it. The chance of a dream victory for the Italian team is not going to happen. And, well, that's that really as far as they are concerned. Verstappen is going to be out of the Grand Prix. Oh, what a shame. Heartbreak over in Martini. Ricciardo will lead the Grand Prix. There he is. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo. He comes around the left-hander. And there you go. Verstappen pulls off with an engine failure. Ricciardo leads the Grand Prix. Magnussen is onto the podium. Massa will be back in the points, but out of the race. Oh, heartbreak at Martini. The victory was right there, and it's just been snatched away. And Verstappen is out of the Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo leads in Imola. Magnussen will be onto the podium. And, well, what can you say about that? Massa will be into the points as a result. As Giovinazzi now then is battling Hülkenberg for what will be 4th place now in this race. And, well, what can you say about that then really? As EMR and Etihad will be on the same number of points with each other then. And so that's pretty much that then really as far as they are concerned. But either way, EMR will still keep their chances alive even with this change of position. And even if Giovinazzi gets by, EMR will still keep their chances alive. Their slim chances alive at the moment, as they will now approach the final few turns on the track as they go in towards these next section of corners through the two Lavazza corners. And, well, Alonso and Hamilton possibly waiting in the wings in case something happens. In towards the last chicane we go, round the left and right-hander we go. As they head down the pit straight now then towards the first few turns. And will Giovinazzi get the move on the Hülkenberg? He's going to look to the inside. Will Gio get the place off Hülkenberg? Down the inside. And yes, he does. Up into 4th place goes Antonio Giovinazzi. He gets 4th from Hülkenberg. And now Alonso and Hamilton will try and find a way through on the EMR. This is probably their best chance to try and wrap it up today if they can find a way through on Hülkenberg. As Hülkenberg is the only man that can get EMR points today, as the Etihad's now try and crowd onto the back. And that's that really. Sorry about that, as now we go down towards the two Acqua Minerale corners. Alonso getting up close there to the back of Nico Hülkenberg as they will now approach the next chicane on the track as they come around the right and left hand, and adding Alonso all over the back of Nico Hülkenberg as they will approach the first few corners on the track. Giovinazzi will try and hunt down Magnussen if he can, as we're now on lap 55 of 62 now. Then 7 laps to go for new race leader Daniel Ricciardo. Sorry, 8 laps to go for new race leader Daniel Ricciardo. And in the GRM, Pérez second, Magnussen third, Giovinazzi trying to close up in fourth. Meantime, now then Alonso on the back of Hülkenberg. Can he get fifth from the German now then as they go down the pit straight? Alonso in the slipstream of Nico Hülkenberg. He's going to tuck up into his slipstream, but he isn't close enough. They remain single file into the first few turns there then as they go around the section of corners now then up towards the Villeneuve chicane. Alonso down the inside of Hülkenberg into the Villeneuve chicane, but Hülkenberg covers him off and holds on to 5th place for the moment. Up the hill towards the left-hander. Hülkenberg went a tad bit defensive as they go around the left-hander now then up towards Piratella. And Alonso right on the prowl of Nico Hülkenberg as they will approach the Piratella now then. Hülkenberg goes defensive, covers any move from Alonso as they will now head down towards the 2 Acqua Minerale corners. Alonso looks to the inside, but Hülkenberg covers off, and now that puts Alonso prey to teammate Lewis Hamilton. Up the hill they go then towards the right left chicane in the closing stages of this amazing San Marino Grand Prix. In towards the right and left hander we go as we go down the straight now then towards the 2 Ravazza corners. And look how close the 2 Etihads are, all over the back of Hülkenberg at this stage. Remember, these two are... Hülkenberg is pretty much the only guy that's preventing Etihad from winning the Constructors. Imola are the closest rivals to Etihad, and he will do everything he can to hold off Alonso and Hamilton in these closing stages. Round the final chicane we go. Down the pit straight, will Alonso try and get Hülkenberg this time by? They've got traffic to deal with as well, so that could help out the 2 Etihads. Down towards the first few turns we go. Alonso not close enough. They remain single file, all 3 of them, into the first few turns now then. Alonso trying everything he can to find a weakness in Nico Hülkenberg as he looks to the inside. Will Alonso get the move done on Hülkenberg? Down the inside, no, not quite. Hülkenberg fends him off into the Villeneuve chicane as they now approach the left-hander on the track. And through the left-hander we go up the hill towards Piratella. Will Alonso get the move done on Hülkenberg? This time by up towards Piratella. Will he get the move done? Hülkenberg goes defensive. Alonso unable to do something there. Hülkenberg covers him off as the traffic is really helping out, is really getting to an effect in this battle. Sparks coming off the back of Hülkenberg's car. Up the hill they go towards the right left chicane now then. Will Alonso try dive into that chicane similar to what Hülkenberg did 2 seasons ago and what Ricciardo did to him earlier? Round chicane. Dixon pretty much holding these guys back. Hülkenberg trying to lap Dixon. If he can, Dixon holds him up. Alonso, can he take full advantage? And Hamilton, they all get through on Dixon. Well, Hamilton doesn't. Hamilton gets him into Ravazza. Round Ravazza 1. There's a bit of a gap between Alonso and Hamilton. Coming off Ravazza 2 into the final chicane. Will Alonso find a way through on Nico Hülkenberg? This is very close. 6 laps remaining for Daniel Ricciardo in this San Marino Grand Prix. Heading down the pit straight. Alonso into the slipstream of Nico Hülkenberg. Then he tucks up into the slipstream. Now then, will Alonso get the move done? He's looking to the inside. Will Alonso grab the position? And he does so. Up into 5th place goes Fernando Alonso. He passes Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg now into the clutches of Hamilton. Alonso gets the place from the German and gets up into 5th place. Can Hamilton find a way through on Hülkenberg now as they go through the Villeneuve chicane in towards the left-hander on the track as they round these section of corners now and up towards Piratella. Can Hamilton find a way through on Nico Hülkenberg as they go up the hill towards Piratella? Hamilton tucking up. Hülkenberg fends off through Piratella. And Hamilton trying to find a way through. He's going to look to the inside into Acqua Minerale, but Hülkenberg covers off and holds on to 6th. For the moment, Alonso starts to get away now as a result. Massa getting close to this scrap as well. So it'd be interesting to see if Massa has an input in this scrap. And, well, that's that then really as far as they are concerned at the moment in this race. And, well, excuse me. As they make the way round these next section of corners. And through we go then into the section of corners now. Then we go. And I'll tell you something now. If it remains like this, trying to work this out in my head. If it remains like this, Etihad will win the Constructors on a countback of victories, I think. Unless Hamilton can make it legit now, then on a countback of victories. Hamilton had a look, but Hülkenberg covered off as they go in towards the chicane now then on the track as they go through the first 3 turns. Can Hamilton find a way through on Hülkenberg, making it a 5-6 for Etihad? Down the inside he goes on Hülkenberg. Can he get him into the Villeneuve chicane? No, he can't. Hülkenberg covers him off into those section of corners now. Then we go up towards the left-hander. We go now then on the track. I don't think it'd be possible for Imola to overhaul Etihad in terms of victories this season. But up the hill we go now then towards the left-hander. Will Hamilton find a way through? Not quite. Again, Hülkenberg covers off as they go down the hill towards the Aquamilarali. Hamilton again unable to find a way through. Hülkenberg just covering him off at this stage now then. As they make their way into the chicane, Hamilton not close enough to find a way through as Ricciardo will start lap 59. 4 laps remaining for Daniel Ricciardo in this amazing San Marino Grand Prix. And now down the hill towards the 2 Lavazza corners. Hamilton through Lavazza 1. Can he get him into Lavazza 2 now then on the track? And so up towards the final chicane we will go on the track. As now into the final chicane, Hamilton trying to find a way through on Hülkenberg. We can. I don't think he's close enough to get him this time by, but we'll wait and see anyway. Down the straight we go. Hamilton not close enough to get him this time about, so Hülkenberg will fend off for the moment with 4 laps to go in this San Marino Grand Prix here at Imola. And well, that's now really down towards the chicane. Hamilton all over the back of Hülkenberg as well. And now they go up towards the left-hander. Will he try and get him into Piratella? And trying to work out in terms of victories this season. And trying to work it out. And yeah, Imola won't be able to overhaul them. So if it stays like this, Etihad will win the Constructors' Championship on a countback of victories as they go down the hill towards Aquamilarali. Hamilton, though, will still race for that position as they go up the hill towards the chicane. Will Hamilton get the move done on Nico Hülkenberg into the chicane? He's not close. Well, he's not going to figure the move. They're going to remain single file into the right-left chicane, coming off the turn, heading down towards the 2 Lavazza corners. And Hamilton, wow, this is getting tense in the remaining few laps of this San Marino Grand Prix. Out of the turn we go as Alonso will try and hunt down Giovinazzi, but I think he's too far in front for Alonso to overhaul. I think Gio's done enough to hold on to 4th. Magnussen's looking good to get his first podium since Singapore last season, I think. I could be wrong on that, but or his first podium. In fact, I don't even remember if Magnussen's actually got a podium. Meantime, though, Hamilton in the slipstream of Hülkenberg. He tucks up into the slipstream. He's going to look to the inside. Will Hamilton get the move done down the inside? And yes, he can. Up into 6th place goes Lewis Hamilton. He passes Hülkenberg. And that for sure, if it stays like this, will give Etihad their 3rd successive Constructors' crown. As they go around the Villeneuve chicane, they just need to remain where they are. And they will do it for a 3rd successive season. As they go up the hill towards Piratella. And, well, very tense indeed as Ricciardo is about to start his penultimate lap of this San Marino Grand Prix. As they round the chicane now then, as if it remains like this as well in the Drivers' Championship, Alonso will cut the gap to 13 points between himself and Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship. As they now go down towards the first few chicanes, Ricciardo has started his penultimate lap of the San Marino Grand Prix. Hamilton too far back to get Alonso, so I think Alonso will stay in front. As now Massa wants a piece of Hülkenberg, so we could have a last lap scrap between Massa and Hülkenberg for 7th place. As they make their way down towards the 2 Lavazzas now then. Into the first Lavazza we go, and then into the 2nd. As they come off the turn, as they will make their way into the last chicane on the track. And what will be the gap between Hülkenberg and Massa this time by as they go down the pit straight. And let's see what that gap is like between Massa and Hülkenberg this time by as they will approach the first chicane, and the gap between them is 1.3 seconds. That's how that looks at this stage. That's how much he's got to gain in these remaining few kilometres of this San Marino Grand Prix. And what a very exciting one as well, it must be said. Magnussen looking good to get a podium in this race, and Ricciardo looking good to get his first victory since since the Pacific Grand Prix last season at Mategi and get GLM's third ever victory and his third ever victory as well. But around the final corner we come, and Daniel Ricciardo is about to start his final lap here at Imola. It's been a fantastic race for Ricciardo. He started in 9th place, so a fantastic comeback from him nonetheless. Got up into the podium place, was up to second, gained a little bit onto Verstappen, but Verstappen was able to pull away. And after a whole lot of luck, thanks to Verstappen's engine blowing up, he was able to resume the lead, and no one came close to getting him. And as a result, if he can just keep this up, he's looking good to get his third career victory. GRM's third as well, and their first since the Pacific Grand Prix of last season, after what's been probably another tough season for the Sussex-based team, as Ricciardo goes around the Piratella for the final time today as they'll head down towards Acqua Minerale. And what a race it has been for these guys. It's just been one stunning race as the Etihad start their final lap, as they will be very close to winning their third successive Constructors' crown. So that's that really, as Massa nowhere near Hülkenberg, so I think Hülkenberg will just do enough to hold on to 7th place in this race. Massa will get his first points on the board anyway, but it could have been a lot more had it not been for a couple of errors for the Brazilian veteran. But meantime, here's Daniel Ricciardo now then, who's coming up now towards the final 2 corners on track, as out goes Jean-Éric Vergne. So the celebration on hold, the other GRM is out of the race. What's happened to Jean-Éric Vergne? And it's a big crash for Vergne. He's rolled it at turn 2. What has happened to Jean-Éric Vergne? A huge crash from the GRM. And let's have a look at, contact with Kimi Räikkönen. Looks like Räikkönen might have gone deep into the first few turns as Vergne has flipped the car over. That incident will have to be investigated after the race between Räikkönen and Jean-Éric Vergne. And yeah, Räikkönen went off and just rejoined right into the path of Vergne. And Vergne goes tippy upside down. I hope he's okay from that accident. But, well, what can you say about that? That's 3 rollovers we've seen today. And, well, I hope all 3 of them were okay from GP2, GP3 and the top class earlier. But meantime, the other GRM is coming up towards the final 2 turns. And after a whole lot of luck, it is going to be Daniel Ricciardo who wins the San Marino Grand Prix. Congratulations to him and the George Rowe Motorsport team. It's their 3rd career victory after a whole lot of luck. Sergio Pérez back on the podium in 2nd place. That will do nicely for them. Kevin Magnussen in the Suomi after a tough few weekends is going to cross the line in 3rd place. A brilliant result for the Dane. Round the final 2 turns, and Magnussen will cross the line in 3rd place to round off the podium. A brilliant race from him. Giovinazzi will cross the line in 4th place in the end there then. And as a result of, here they are then, round the final 2 turns, Alonso crosses the line in 5th position. Hamilton will cross the line in 6th, and as a result, Etihad Racing are the Season 4 Constructors' Champions. They've done it for a 3rd successive season after a brilliant fight back from the pair of them. 5th and 6th is enough for them to win the Constructors' Championship for a 3rd successive season. Well done to the Emirates-based team. Hülkenberg finishes 7th, Massa 8th, Sainz 9th, Grosjean 10th, Räikkönen for now in 11th because of the investigation, Ocon 12th, Dixon 15th, he was a lap down, 13th will go to Valtteri Bottas in the end, so Vergne will be classified in 14th despite the crash because Dixon was a lap down. But Etihad are the Season 4 Constructors' Champions. They've done it for the 3rd successive season. A fantastic result for them. It's 13th for Bottas, and there you have it then, in the end. Fellow Etihad employee Daniel Ricciardo, a future Etihad racing driver, wins the race after a whole lot of luck thanks to Verstappen's blown engine. So, there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here is the result of the San Marino Grand Prix. A very exciting San Marino Grand Prix here at Imola. Daniel Ricciardo won the race with Sergio Pérez in 2nd. It's Kevin Magnussen 3rd. Antonio Giovinazzi finished in 4th with Fernando Alonso 5th, Lewis Hamilton 6th, which is enough for Etihad to be crowned the Season 4 Constructors' Champions. Nico Hülkenberg 7th, Felipe Massa in 8th. And it is then Carlos Sainz Jr. 9th, Romain Grosjean 10th, Kimi Räikkönen for now in 11th, Esteban Ocon 12th, Valtteri Bottas 13th, Jean-Éric Vergne classified in 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Scott Dixon, the last of the finishes, in 15th. And the 7 retirements were Max Verstappen, Mick Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, Brendan Hartley, Charles Leclerc, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Ed Jones. They were the retirements of the San Marino Grand Prix. So let's see who's at the fastest lap of the race then. Let's have a look. And it was Nico Hülkenberg with a 1 minute 21.740. So he set the fastest lap of the race in the end. He was nearly 2 tenths quicker than Kimi Räikkönen in the end there then. So there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the San Marino Grand Prix here at Imola. I hope you enjoyed it. It has been a very exciting weekend of racing. And congratulations to Etihad Racing on winning their 3rd successive Constructors' Crown. Well done to them indeed. But a fantastic race nonetheless. The podium for the top class is coming away just after this. But that has been it then, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, next weekend at, yet again at Italy, but this time at Monza for the running of the Italian Grand Prix. So next weekend will be the Italian Grand Prix in Monza for another packed weekend of IFMC. And just a note, of course, AOR is back on tonight after a week break. But I will be commentating alongside somebody else today because OTG is going out tonight with his parents as a result of it being Father's Day today. So he'll be going out. So partnering alongside me in the commentary box for the AOR race at 8 will be H Racing Green. So hopefully we can deliver a good race at Monza later on at 8 PM in just under 2 hours' time. But anyway, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So check out the Apex Online Racing YouTube channel for that at 8 o'clock. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1. Congratulations to Etihad once again. And we'll see you guys next weekend at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. Until then, take care and enjoy the podium.